Well, I think part of just jumping in and getting this whole thing started and where you're at now is exactly a message that you've shared a lot in your podcasts and on social media, where it's like, stop playing small and become her. Like, you don't need to wait anymore. And so I would love for you to talk and elaborate about why people need to stop waiting and how you become her.
Yeah. Whew. So I would say that is like my biggest piece of advice, truly, is to become the version of yourself that you want to be right now. Like, how does she dress? How does she speak? How does she post on social media? How does she eat? And I heard this today, like, you've got to make decisions the way that the next level version of you makes decisions. Like, if you're making decisions based on the person you are now or the person you were before, you're not going to move forward. Like, you have to make decisions the way that the next version of you is making them. And even to like today, I needed to hear that. I was like, yes, Tance, because decisions can paralyze me. I don't know about you guys, but there's a lot of decisions to be made all the time. I specifically remember like a time in my life where I wanted to hit this goal. And I remember I was watching this girl. Her name is Ashley Molstead. I don't know if you guys follow her on social media. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. But she's like she's a body positive, love yourself, no matter what type of person. And she's very real and authentic. And I remember she would like swear on her story, and she would like laugh and even drink a little bit. And I was like, wow, when I get that many followers, I'm going to be myself like that. And then finally it hitting me like, no, dude, like, you have it all wrong. You have it in reverse. Like, you got to start showing up like that now to get that following. And I think we all make that mistake. Like, we all make that mistake of, when I lose 10 pounds, when I have this many followers, when I know what I'm doing, you're never going to know. And there's always going to be questions, and there's always going to be the next thing. And when I was able to, I remember looking in the rear view mirror, like I was at the bank. First of all, that was obviously a long time ago. I don't go to the bank anymore. But I remember looking in the mirror and being like, okay, we're done waiting. I literally remember this moment, like, become her now. And I just like sat up taller, and I was like, I like turned up my music, and I was like, hey, I'm her. And a couple of days later, I hit the goal I was trying to hit, and my business started to take off. And I just remember from that moment, like, momentum just building and building and building. And the thing is too, though, I get lost in forgetting that. I go back to the old me. I go back to making decisions like the old me. I go back to making everyone else feel comfortable and not wanting to cause conflict. And I have to remind myself, okay, look in the mirror, chest up. How does the next level version of you show up? And what's tough is you keep hitting those next levels, and then you're like, what is next? Like, what is my next level? And what do I need to do? And I think that's just my biggest piece of advice, is whatever you're waiting to become, embody it now. And I feel like it's said all the time now, like, everyone says that, and you've probably already heard that before from other people. But what I need you to listen right now, people, is that I want you to ask yourself, like, are you really doing that? Are you walking like her? Are you even, I didn't used to think that clothes even mattered. Like, I don't care about what I'm wearing. I forget about all that stuff. Like, I'm just like, let me just put it on and get to work. But even the way I dress myself, the way I'm eating my food, like, that's all a level of self-respect and who you deserve to step into. So yeah, I will preach that all day. And I need to hear it myself. So thanks for making me remind myself.
It's so good. You're closer to the future you than you think.
And like you said, you're one decision away. And I think where the magic comes from when you do that is the energy you're putting out in the universe. You're attracting what you're putting out. It's law of attraction. It's manifesting. But you have to believe that you're capable of achieving those, of deserving those things. And it shifts your mindset. Like by you putting your chest up, Tony Robbins says, like your chest up, like you're 0.5 millimeters away from FU to OF.
Oh, yeah.
That's something that stuck with me, is like the confidence, the energy, everything we've been saying this whole time. It's what are you radiating? Because that's what you're attracting. Those are the people you're attracting. Are you pouring out love? Because that's what you're getting in return. Like you get what you give.
Yeah. And that, I think so many people are doing what the checklist of what successful people are telling them to do. Like, oh, well, I'm showing up on social media 1 time a day or 5 times a day, like they told me, and I'm creating an email list and I'm doing this and this. And it's like, there is a certain extent of which showing up is very important. On the hard days, showing up is all that matters, you know? But the difference now, there's so much noise out there. I'm not going to post a post just to check it off my list. Like I'm in the energy of which I want to put out, or else I'm not doing it. And therefore that means that I got to get myself in the energy of doing it, because not doing it is not an option.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Well, you can tell, like Brooke and I post 4 times a day on TikTok, and when we don't have the energy, the views are low. Like, it's like, I didn't even mean that one. Or you know what I mean? It's like, or you're tired, so you do like a nature picture with a quote on it that took no time, but like you wanted to post. It's so true. Like when my hair is flipping and we're wild and we're laughing, like it doesn't even need to have any message, but it's the energy, and it's so true. I love that advice, because it is important to show up.
Yeah.
Consistency does matter. And that is something that Brooke and I really value and we feel like is a strength. But I love what you said, like get in that energy before you're even thinking about videoing yourself. Like what's the point if you're not authentically feeling that energy? That's such great advice.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Shout out to you guys, man. 4 TikToks a day. That's amazing. And this, you said airing in 61 countries. Like that's so badass.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
Hey, it's because of badasses like you that we get the pleasure of uplifting and speaking to. Like this is what moves people. Yes, you move physically and you dance and you're freaking amazing, but seeing that and that energy, but also talking about what people don't see is the showing up, and it's not glamorous, and the sacrifices that you're making, but why it's worth it, because you feel like you wake up and it's not work. You're on fire. You have one life to live. Mm-hmm. And ultimately it's your choice of how you're living it. Are you going to step into your power? Are you going to settle? Like what needs to shift? How do you need to show up? Is it you need to raise your chest a little? You need to, put the girls out. What do you got to do?
You need to go to Tanci's TikTok. You need to watch the TikTok, and you get all the energy, and then you can figure out what you want to do next. I feel like that's move number 1. Yeah. So where can people find you? I feel like we kind of already told them, but where can people find you if they want to follow you or they're interested in getting to be a part of Turn Up? Where do they go?
So my Instagram and TikTok are both at Turn Up with Tanci. And then our new website is turnupdancefitness.com. And yeah, we have an instructor training. It's all virtual coming up. I think we open October 23rd. So I'm not sure when people will see this, but October 23rd registration opens for that. It's our last instructor training of the year. But it makes me feel really good that you say that I give you energy, because sometimes I feel like when you show up and you're just dancing, like I think a lot of people might relate to whatever it is that you're doing that is your craft. Sometimes you're like, well, people aren't taking how-tos away from this. Like I'm not giving them a how to do this and this, like what's my value that I'm providing? And I think you telling me that you get energy from me just showing up in what I love, like that's confirmation in itself that I need to keep doing what I'm doing. Because again, like I question it too. I'm like, I need to probably do more. Like I'm on myself, but like you saying, you just showing up in your energy gives us energy. That's it. Like, that's it.
Well, if they want to really learn the moves, they can become an instructor and they'll learn your moves. But I mean, it's hard to put in words, but it doesn't really matter what you're wearing when you watch it, because you're like, I don't know how to say it, but like an aura is coming from you. You're literally between like two cars, or you're in your living room, or it doesn't matter. Like, it literally doesn't matter, because your body is moving in a way that is just owning their gift. And so it's like, it's so hard to put in words. You just have to watch it, because
Did you guys see Elvis? Did you guys watch the movie Elvis?
Not yet.
Yes, and we were talking about your podcast episode of you depicting it, because I was like, oh my gosh, yes. The way you talked about the universe moving through him, and that's you.
Well, I feel so I could relate to that in Elvis being, he's like, I just have to move my hips like this. The music is just making this happen. And like I said, it was the universe moving through him. And I think when you can find that thing, like, it might not be dance. It might be something completely different, but what makes you feel like you gotta do it, you have to pursue that. Maybe not for a living, but for your own sanity and therapy. And in turn, the way you can serve, like by just showing up in your gift.
Yeah. What gives you energy? Like, what do you get lost in? And I think you can't make a change if you don't have energy. Like, that's the first and foremost. So that's why you need to follow Tanci. Check her out. Get some energy. Dance with her. If dance is your thing, you need to come to Minneapolis. Can we get a class up here?
Yeah. That's probably, I'm in Chicago now, so that's probably closer to me, huh?
6 hours?
Oh my
Nice.
God.
We'll drive. We'll make the drive. You let us know, because we
Okay.
would love that.
Yes.
That'd be amazing.
We'll bring a whole caravan. We already have friends who are like, does she live here? We're like, no. All right, Tanci, we just want more of you. And so we're going to keep moving into our last segments of the show, which the first one is your 3 gold stars.
You've probably gotten this from me already from this whole conversation, but one is to just not let anyone talk you out of what's on your heart and what your passion is and what your dream is. If you think about everybody in the world who has had success and done great things and made an impact, like, they didn't get yeses right away. They didn't have support right away. They probably actually have a story of coming up from like being told no more than once. And so the difference there is that they didn't let people talk them out of what they wanted and what they knew was a part of their journey. So just stop listening to everybody else and do it because you love it. Like, if whatever it is that you do, because there's no need for applause, there's no need for money to be made. Like, that is important. You'll find a way to make that happen, but you would do it without that. Like, don't stop doing that. Don't let the world take that away from you. So that's my first one. You get what you give. And I'm just going to reiterate that again. When you show up to give, it will come back to you in ways that you can't see. And then 3, just to add on to that, I think we can get so wrapped up in tunnel vision of what we think we're supposed to do, what we think it's supposed to look like, and maybe what everyone else thinks is what is supposed to happen. And one of the biggest pieces of advice that I've gotten is to stop looking in such tunnel vision of what it is exactly supposed to look like, because you're going to miss what it could look like if you don't open your mind to that. And by, being persistent on what you want to happen and the impact you want to make, that's one thing, but be flexible in the strategy and the way that you get there, and know that there's no wrong, like there's no way that you can make a mistake enough to take you off of the path that you're supposed to be on. Like it's all happening on purpose, and you have to open your mind. Like I don't have a 5-year plan. I don't have a 10-year plan. Like I'm going to serve the way that I need to serve in 5 years, whatever that looks like. I'm going to keep serving until that leads me to the next way that I need to serve. And when you live like that, like you make things happen and things come to you, I think. So like really opening your mind to what it could look like.
Yeah. And those impulses of what feels good, because the next move will like become aware to you. I feel like when you're so focused on one thing, like you said, you miss the bigger picture. You miss what it could have been. Like it could have been so much more. And when you just go with what feels right, you keep attracting more of what's right. And you just got a bomb ass life.
So many people get so focused on the outcome of, like, even in my instructor training, I'll use that as an example. Like they are like, okay, well, what happens once I get my certification? I need to know how much this is, what this has. And I'm like, you haven't even built the strength to know how you're going to approach that when that comes yet. Like I could give you those answers, but I refuse because you're not ready for that yet. Focus on what's in front of you. You have the strength to deal with what's in front of you. And then when we get to that, you're going to know exactly what to do because you will have done what we've already done here. And so many people are like, well, what happens when this? Well, you haven't even done this part yet. So how are you going to stop going in that cycle of what happens next and do the job? And that will build the strength for you to handle what's next.
Yes. I think there's like a trust in that, like trusting you're where you're meant to be. You give that 100%. And I also like the idea of being open to like limitless possibilities, the expected and the unexpected, right? Because there's beauty in that. Because it's like you're on the right path, yes, but there could be things, like you said, that you never even see coming, which is actually really exciting to think about.
Yeah, like what's going to reveal itself.
Love it.
Yes.
All right. Well, next is Unleashing Ivy. These are rapid fire surprise questions that Tanci doesn't know we're about to ask. You want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
Very excited.
All right. So my question has to do with kind of insecurity. You know, we all have insecurities. Everybody does. But I remember hearing in one of your podcasts something about, you know, people not wanting to stand by you because they're so intimidated, right? And so I kind of want you to speak to her, to the woman that is afraid to show up to class because of what she's going to look like, or standing next to Tanci. Absolutely not. I'm going in the back. Don't look at me. I don't want to be seen. You know, what message what would you say to her, encouraging her to show up?
This is probably not what that person wants to hear, but no one's looking at you. First of all, like no one is judging us as much as we think they are judging us. Everyone is focused on themselves, especially in that situation. Like, so I wouldn't worry so much about what they're thinking about you because they're probably not thinking about you as much as you think they're thinking about you. Secondly, I think just what we just talked about, everything is an opportunity. And when you look at life that way, when you look at everything as an opportunity, you just make things happen. You could look at it as this is going to make me look bad, or you could look at it as, wow, I get to dance next to someone who lives for this. Like she lives for this. There's no way this is not going to be an experience of a lifetime. And I get to experience it right here and get better. I get to get better, or whatever it is. Like, it's just flipping the narrative of the stories we're telling ourselves. I think it's hard to do. It is hard to do. So even I'm learning these things all over again while I just moved to Chicago. I'm having to coach myself through that. Like, you know, I'm like, I have to find a new dentist. I have to find a new lash place. I have to find a new this, and this, and I have to meet new friends. I have to start all over. But if I flip that narrative, it's like, I get to explore an entirely new place. Like I get the opportunity to be somewhere completely different that I never thought was possible. I get to go meet people that I never would have gotten to meet if I didn't do this. Like, the possibilities are endless and I get to do this. And the language that we speak on that changes our lives. The way you speak on your life is the way you're going to live your life, for sure.
Absolutely.
So
what are you focusing on? That's what I'm hearing you say. And the conscious choice to reframe and reframe and reframe and reframe, because
over and over again,
those thoughts are automatic.
Yeah. And I think people think they're different for having those thoughts. And it's like, you're not different. Everyone has them. It's just who's overcoming them and who's letting them become them. Like, those thoughts aren't you. They're fear, which is not, it's over here. Like, you can watch it and you can observe it.
Mm-hmm. Are you attaching meaning to it that doesn't need to be? Oh, so powerful.
I love that.
Okay. My question is also to someone who is listening that hears how much you are on fire, the energy you have, how much you love what you're doing. Like, you found your niche, and that person that is just kind of confused with where they're at. They don't know what their move is, but they want what you have. Like, what would you tell them?
Ooh, two things come to my mind instantly. So I think the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So even though I'm on fire and doing what I love, like, when I was a teacher and I was doing a lesson on grammar, and I am kind of passionate about that, but not extremely passionate about it. I found a way to insert my passion into what had to be done, and therefore make it something I was passionate about that I could give my all to. So like, I'm doing everything that I possibly can with my full heart, like with everything. That's how I'm living. So like, if you do that, I think you will reveal to yourself what you're capable of and what you like and what you don't like. But you have to go balls to the wall. You have to allow yourself to go full out to figure out what you're capable of. Like, that, there's that. Secondly, I heard this the other day and I loved it so much. Someone was asking, like, where do I start? Where do you begin? And Eric Thomas said, go back to where you quit. Go back to where you stopped before. Like, where was it that you gave up on yourself? Where was it that you decided that you couldn't go any further? Where was it that you justified that you didn't need to do that anymore, that you didn't even want that anymore? Where did you quit? And go back to that and start there. And I thought that was so good.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So many ways to look at it. I love that too, because you can start over. You know, you don't have to. Yeah, I think people think, well, I'm already this far into my career and I'm comfortable and I have this salary. Like, I can't start over. But it's like, actually, you can. You actually totally can. And it's scary, but you can.
Yes.
All right. And last question, Tanci. I just want to say that because I can't believe I'm talking to you. Tanci, what is one thing you wish you knew sooner?
One thing I wish I knew sooner. Man, that is such a question that I should know the answer to. I don't know that there's anything that I wish I would have known sooner. If I could speak to the version of myself that didn't know that I'd be here, it would be like, you're gonna make it happen. And everything that you thought was a letdown is actually setting you up for where you're supposed to be. So I wish I could talk to the old version of myself and say, like, that happened on purpose. That happened on purpose. And you thought that you were getting told no, but really it was redirecting you to get you to where you were going to be at an even greater power. And I think a lot of times we want it sooner than it's supposed to happen. And it's all coming right on time. And that's so annoying to say as advice. Like, it's the worst thing to hear, because you're like, F you, it's easy for you to say because you're blah, blah, blah. But if I look back at everything I've been through, like, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if that no, or that letdown, or that person walking out of my class and screaming, you suck. Like, if all that didn't happen to me, I wouldn't have had the fuel to do my own thing. I'd be working for someone else if I got that opportunity. So everything you think that isn't happening for you on the timeline that you want it to happen for you is setting you up for something bigger if you allow it to.
Oh, chills. chills. Oh, this has been amazing.
Yes.
You guys are amazing.
This is why we started doing what we're doing, is to talk to people exactly like you, Tanci. Like, I could cry, and I probably will, because I always do, but you are the epitome of strength and vulnerability and just being a woman and embodying who you are, who you're meant to be, and then talking about all the shit you had to go through to be here, right? Because if you go through it and all you show is the pretty version, and like, you are ripped and beautiful and a great freaking dancer, but if you don't talk about how you got there, like, what is the point, right? Like, I'm so grateful that you're here talking about you as a human being, and that you have your podcast with your sister. I love her so much. I love Chandler too. Shout out Chandler. Woo!
Yay.
Love you.
Listen to Bossy.
Yes. Your relationship is beautiful, and you two also show how women don't have to be competitive or tear each other down. Like, we can uplift each other. There's so many messages that Brooke and I could hit home that you are putting into the world, but so you'll have to come back. But I'm just so thankful that you're doing what you're doing. And we could say it a million times, like, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. But as women, I just think it's extra important that those confident ones come and talk about the tough days and the tough experiences they've had. So thank you so much for joining us and talking about all of that.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. You are so amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. And like I said, it takes one to know one. So I thank you for seeing me. I think, sometimes I feel like I don't put out there all of the work that's going in. Like, it's so hard to convey that. And for you to see that in me means so much. So thank you for seeing the work that I'm putting in. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. And something I just want to add is what I think is the most beautiful is you're bringing others with you. You preach, there's room for all of us. And that's something that Andrew and I preach too, is there's other podcasts. Yeah. There's other fitness instructors, but no one is you. And that is your power. And so to invite others to join you, and it's not a competition, there's a room for us all. That's also why we're doing what we're doing. And we see that in you. So thank you for that.
Yay. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. Okay. Last but not least, we leave our listeners with a piece of gold. Would you like to share your gold with us?
I want the person listening, wherever you're at, I want you to take the responsibility of betting on yourself and recognizing that when you do that, good things come of it. And you got to stop expecting everyone else to bet on you before you do that for yourself. Bet on yourself, and you will surprise yourself with your strength.
This is Gold Ivy signing off.
Listen to your truth and go chase your gold.